right, so this is video, what are we on? Oh yeah, this is video number 9. So coming in hot right now, just finished Stephens. Coming in hot, doing all of these videos for some teams. I'm like, not terribly pleased with them. This one will be a little bit more fun, a little more cheery though. We get to do the newcomer. We get to do Leyland's team. So let's kind of just let's dive into it. I mean, okay, so third nomination, $21. I know Leyland put this guy up. It was DeAndre Swift. What do we think? So I've always liked DeAndre Swift as a talent. I thought he was the most talented running back coming out of his draft class. I want to say this is 2021 and it's 2023, so we're talking like a couple years ago now. And I harken back to, last year we saw Jamal Williams break out with his 17 touchdowns while Swift was hurt. And really that's been kind of the theme with Swift. He's been hurt and it's not been great. I still think he's really talented, and Miles Sanders is gone from the Eagles, but they did pay Rashad Penny a decent amount, I think $6 million, and Kenneth Gainwell's still there. So we know for a fact this is definitely a committee. I still think if Swift can stay healthy, he's the most talented guy, especially considering the fact that I don't believe in Penny's ability to stay healthy. We're going on, year 5 now? He's just never stayed healthy. Like, Swift hasn't stayed healthy in a couple of years, but, Penny's never been healthy. This is year 5. Might be year 6. I gotta check, man. It's been a while. I think it's year 5. No, but I think he's definitely the pass catcher of the two backs, of Penny and him. I guess you could say Penny's the rusher. He's the pass catcher. And there's a lot of mouths to feed in Philadelphia, but we just saw Miles Sanders have a very excellent season there. So obviously the offensive line plays there. If and when Penny goes down, I think this is Swift's job. Trey Sermon just got waived. Kenneth Gainwell is decent, but he's never really taken the job for himself. And he's really, really talented, and I could see if he stays healthy, he's a top 20 running back. For now, I think he'll get 600 yards, maybe 5 touchdowns, and maybe 40 receptions. So kind of just in line of what he's done with Detroit the last couple of years. But, last year, we bet on him so highly, and he didn't meet those expectations because he got injured. Maybe he can't ever meet those expectations. We'll have to find out. But I think in Philadelphia, they're going to optimize him. They're going to use him to his strengths, which is playing out wide and running basically high octane with him, trying to get him some good pass catches. He's very efficient. He scores when he plays. He's still really talented. So I think you paid for him. I like to say the phrase is a lot this year, at cost. So you basically paid for what he's worth at $21. I don't mind it. I think it's worth it, especially so high in the draft. Everyone's just kind of disoriented. What do we do? He's all right. He seems okay. But yeah, no, he's a good player. He's a genuinely good player, and you're taking the upside. And the upside is rather large because we just saw it with Miles Sanders, and no one believed in him last year, and he went for $3. Then boom, top 15 running back whole season. So that is Swift's upside. Can't argue against that. 17th nomination, $1. Jimmy Garoppolo, or as he is affectionately called by a lot of people, Jimmy Pornstar. So he's now left San Francisco. He's now got the starting role in Vegas. He's not terribly impressive, if I'm being honest with you. He's 31 now. Everyone thought he was the heir apparent to Brady, but he's just really, really conservative as a thrower, and he's never healthy. He's just never healthy. I don't think he's finished a year where he's been better than the 14th starting quarterback. So he's got really good weapons in Devontae Adams. They brought over Jacoby Myers. They have Josh Jacobs. I don't think he's a starting quarterback in our league, if I'm being honest. I would cut him. I think he'll be good in Vegas. I think he'll get 3,800 passing yards and maybe 20 touchdowns. But Vegas is going to have a real hard time competing with the Kansas City's of the world, the Chargers of the world, probably. I mean, I don't even really believe in Russell Wilson all that much, but I believe in Russell Wilson more so bouncing back than I believe in Jimmy Garoppolo because I've never seen Jimmy Garoppolo do it for a whole year. I've seen years where Russell Wilson did it, and I think Sean Payton's a great coach. I think Josh McDaniels is a good offensive coordinator, and he's the head coach now. So, what are we saying? I mean, I know why we took it. We took it for the fun. So, I mean, he's Jimmy Pornstar. You got him for $1, so it's not like he costs much. But yeah, I don't know. There's no reason why no one bid him up because I just don't think he's really a starter in our league. He doesn't score enough. So, 19th nomination, $49. Lauren's favorite, Stefon Diggs. Come on down. So, I say affectionately now, Diggs is the best route runner in football. He has passed Keenan Allen, and I believe that. I mean, last year was wild, okay? Over 1,400 yards. He led the league in targets with 154. He's been a top 7 fantasy wide receiver for 3 years in a row now. No, not receiver, scorer. Like overall scorer and counting running backs. So, yeah, he's been a 1,000-yard receiver 5 years in a row. He's 29, so he's still in his prime. He's in a high-octane, pass-heavy offense, and they did not feed Gabe Davis all that much last year. It was the Diggs show. Diggs got more than double the amount of receptions of Davis. So I think we're going to try and find some balance now. If not Davis, maybe Dalton Kincaid, maybe James Cook gets in on the action. Somebody's got to play second banana to him. So I don't know if we're going to get another 1,400-yard receiving. That's huge numbers. But I think we could see like 1,200 yards. I think we could see like double-digit touchdowns. I think that's gettable. And that's like what? I mean, we're talking basically range of like a Devontae Adams year. I think we paid like a little more than some of the receivers who went. So like, I mean, I do think he's elite. He's in that Justin Jefferson. He's right below Justin Jefferson and Cooper Kupp kind of pay arc, and those guys went, and Jamar Chase, who's just below that. And those guys got like huge, enormous, like basically like payouts, and he had just as good a season as them. So I guess there's the possibility of him doing a repeat, in which case he's worth it. I think for the price of most of the receivers, though, I think he was good. I think you paid for him again at cost, maybe even a slight overpay, but I think he's worth it. He's a really tremendous player. I know Lauren is unhappy she did not get him, but, she spent all her money on running backs early, so she had never had a shot at him. Then at the 24th nomination, $45, CeeDee Lamb. So we're kind of doing a little bit less than what Ryan did. Like, Ryan went big on Cooper Kupp and Jamar Chase, but in the same realm, 2 top 10 receivers that we're paying a shade under $50 for, but still, like, legitimately, like, incredible players. So CeeDee Lamb had 1,300 yards last year, 9 touchdowns. He didn't get a whole lot of red zone targets. I think he only got 6. So I think he'll get maybe still like 8 touchdowns. I think with Dalton Schultz now gone, he'll get more red zone targets. But I think also with Brandon Cooks and Michael Gallup possibly being healthy now, and Mike McCarthy wanting to go a little bit more run heavy, he'll also take a step back, maybe like 1,200 yards this time. But, I mean, we're still talking massive workload. We're still talking top 10 receivers. I think he's like a top 6 receiver, and then like freaking Diggs was last year like the number 4 fantasy receiver. So, like, again, we're paying for him at cost, at what he's worth. Really good player. Building our team kind of like Ryan, only a little bit more budget-friendly, but a stack on 2 elite receivers. Interesting. Then we did 34th nomination, $37, Miles Sanders. So this one's kind of funky. There were definitely, first off, I'm going to say there were definitely better deals. Second, I will say Sanders had a huge breakout year. It's true. But I don't know if it's going to carry over. I mean, the Eagles went to the Super Bowl, and then they didn't want to pay him. So then he went to the Panthers, who paid him. But The Panthers aren't great. The O-line's not great. They got a rookie quarterback. The receivers aren't great. So, I mean, and even with all of that, he was like, what, the 13th best fantasy running back last year? I don't know if he's going to be as good this year. I mean, I guess he'll get a lot of workload, but I mean, that offensive line in Philly's freaking elite, like best of the best. Probably like them, Detroit, and like Baltimore are like the top three run like offensive lines. So Carolina's just not that good. I think again another guy. I think he overpaid for this. Quite frankly, there were other guys I liked kind of at like cost at running back. Surprisingly enough, that I feel like would have been maybe have a better chance of coming back on with this price he paid. I mean, it's not bad. I probably would have preferred like someone I know, was it Brian, I think took Alexander Madison. I like him. I've always had an affinity for him. I think someone like like Kenneth Walker went for 21 if Walker's healthy, even though I've been kind of down on him with Charbonnet. I would have loved to have gotten the pair of them, and I probably could have gotten the pair, yeah, for cost, and it still would have been cheaper than this. So we don't know that in the draft, though. We're trying our best to get what we can. I think as your number 2 running back, I think first off, I think he's better than Swift. And it's funny, you drafted Sanders, who's Swift is replacing in Philly, so that's kind of a unique kind of spin on it. But I think you overpaid for him. I think he'll have a good season. I think he'll get 1,000 yards. I think he'll be like top 20-ish running back, but I'm not sure there's too much upside. I think he's a good player. I guess the upside is he does what he did last year, but all the circumstances I feel like last year helped contribute to him doing that more so than anything else. But still, maybe I could be wrong. I've been wrong before. I will be wrong again. So I like him. I'm happy for him. I'm happy he got paid. I'm happy he had his breakout. I'm happy he got to go to the Super Bowl. I think the party's going to I don't know if the party's ending, but I think the party's winding down, and we're kind of just like, okay, we're back to doing what we usually do kind of thing. But I still think he'll get his 1,000 yards. 45th nomination, $16, Deebo Samuel. Oof. So, Deebo was incredible the year before. The year before, for Charlie, he had 1,770 total yards and 14 touchdowns. Just insane. He was the 3rd best receiver in fantasy. And last year, obviously not as great. I think he fell to like the 28th best receiver. So definitely a fall. And he played still in 13 games and was still a pretty steep fall. I think part of that is he hasn't played a full year in 4 years, first off. Even in that 3rd year, he missed a game. Second, they don't utilize his dual threat ability, so his ability as a runner, as much now, because Christian McCaffrey's there, and McCaffrey soaks up those touches, and then when he's not soaking up those touches, then we have Elijah Mitchell, and then when Mitchell's not there, breaking case of glass, my guy's still there, I still believe in him, Jordan Mason, who I love, but, I mean, Deebo's a wide receiver who runs like a running back, so I think he's going to get some carries. I think he'll get some touches. I think he'll get like 200 yards rushing and like 800 yards receiving. So he'll make 1,000 yards, and then he'll be a high-end like touchdown maker. So we're talking like 8-9 touchdowns. So good season. Not great, but good season. I don't think his high end is I don't think he's going to be the number 3 receiver again. Like, that's really high. But I also don't think he's going to be as bad as he was last year, which was like the 28th receiver. And we're drafting him basically, I mean, for this amount of money, we're drafting him as though he's like the 40th receiver. And I mean, Mike Evans went around for this kind of money, and I would take Deebo Samuel all day over Evans just on the upside. So, what am I saying? Well, I mean, we went from a 1,700 yard season to like, what was last year? I want to say, let's see. Yeah, like at 800, that's a huge different range. Let's just split the difference. Let's say he gets like 1,200, 1,300 yards. It's a top 20 receiver all day. So, love it. That's a steal. I think getting him, it's kind of crazy to consider Stephon Diggs, CeeDee Lamb, Deebo Samuel. Like 2 years ago, all those guys are top 7 receivers in fantasy, and they're all on your team. And that's with a pretty good duo of running backs who may not stay healthy, DeAndre Swift and Miles Sanders, but still, that's a quality core. 101 nomination, $5, Michael Pittman Jr. Brian, one of Brian's favorites. I'm surprised Brian didn't get him. I guess it kind of makes sense, though. He's going to take a step back because it's the Anthony Richardson show. I mean, we know now, based on everything, like Jonathan Taylor is not there for at least the first 4 weeks. And while Pittman is really efficient in everything, he didn't take that next step, but I don't think that's his fault. Matt Ryan wasn't very good. But if I'm being honest, I think this offense with Sane Steichen coming in and Anthony Richardson, the rookie, being the quarterback, and he only has a 55% completion percentage in college. He's only started 13 games in college. He's only thrown, I think, a total of like under 300 passes since high school. So this is a run-heavy scheme. We're going like super run-heavy. We're going early Jalen Hurts, possibly Tennessee Titans kind of run-heavy. Can there be an A.J. Brown in that? Yeah, there can be an A.J. Brown in that. Is that going to happen to Pittman? Maybe. But I don't think it's going to be a lot. Like last year, he was just short of 100 catches, so 99 catches. He was a shade under 1,000 yards. For $5, I don't think it's bad. I think y'all take a step back, unfortunately, like quite a few guys I've said on your team. I think we're looking at between 70 and 80 receptions because, let's be frank, Richardson's not accurate. He's not an accurate thrower. I think we'll get maybe 900 yards. I think we'll get like 3 or 4 touchdowns. He's the best receiver on the team, so he's got to be fed at some point. I just don't know how much Richardson can give him. But, you know, he's had 2 consecutive years of being a top 20 receiver. I don't know if he can reach that again, but I still think he's a top 25 receiver. I still think he's very safe as like a wide receiver 3. And you're playing him at your flex, so good on you. Like getting that for $5, like, that's a tremendous value. I would kill for that on my team. That is wonderful. 143 nomination, $1, Jared Goff. So we took another quarterback. This time we took the Lions' Jared Goff. Jared Goff. So, Goff threw the ball a lot. There are those famous days with the Rams when Goff went to a Super Bowl with the Rams after being the number 1 pick, and Sean McVay's the head coach, and they're throwing the ball around the lot. And I was always like, I don't think Jared Goff is that great. And then eventually the Rams got rid of him. Brian Matthew Stafford won a Super Bowl. Now, I compared Jared Goff to kind of being like Dak Prescott, like a little bit more efficient Dak Prescott, basically. But if you look at their careers, it's incredibly similar. I think Goff's had better coaching, especially this year, though, like going into it, like Dak Prescott has CeeDee Lamb. Jared Goff has Amon-Ra St. Brown. Dak Prescott has an elite offensive line. Jared Goff has an elite offensive line. Dak Prescott just lost a good offensive coordinator in Kellen Moore. Jared Goff has a very good offensive coordinator in Ben Johnson. Dak Prescott has a very good running back in Tony Pollard. Jared Goff has a very good running back that they took very, very high in the draft named Jahmyr Gibbs. So, he's not a rusher. He's a passer. But he has all day to pass the ball. I think this is probably your starting quarterback. I think last year he was like the number 10 ranked quarterback. So he's, again, top 10-ish range. So just like Dak Prescott, a little worse than Kirk Cousins, right around where Deshaun Watson is kind of deal. Maybe where Tua's going to be flying around if he's healthy, yada, yada. So he's a quality player who will pass for big numbers occasionally given his circumstances. I don't think he's that good. I think he's good, but not good enough. I I will be kind of tickled if Detroit gives him a big extension because I'm going to be like, he's not going to elevate you to a Super Bowl. But I guess that's enough for them because Detroit has a hard time even getting to the playoffs. So I could see 4,000 yards. I could see 25 touchdowns. I think he'll take a little bit of a step back. But he's a starter in our league, a back-end starter at quarterback. Getting that for $1, I don't mind it. I like it a lot better than Garoppolo. I would definitely start Goff for sure. For sure. And it's really fun because he's in the first game, which is, what's today? Today's Wednesday. So tomorrow's Thursday. So a week from tomorrow is the first game of the year, which is Detroit versus Kansas City. So yeah. Anyway, I think Goff, just like I like Amon-Ra St. Brown, someone's got to feed him, and I think that's Goff, and I think that's Goff's number one job. 167 nomination, $2, Devin Singletary. Fun. So Singletary never really broke out in Buffalo, and now, I mean, kind of like my love for Zach Moss, who also never broke out in Buffalo, and now he finds himself after 4 years in Houston. And I don't really know what to make of it. Is Dameon Pierce a bell cow back? Is that what we're doing? Do we even know who the head coach is in Houston? Oh, yeah, it's a defensive coordinator. Yeah, we're probably going to make Dameon Pierce the bell cow back. That's probably what's happening. So I think Singletary, I mean, he's not going to get a ton of touches. I think he's more of like insurance handcuff-ish. But, that would really help a team like Eileen, who has Dameon Pierce and ought to have handcuffed him and didn't, and instead, what is this? He took Singletary at 167. Oh, because she was taking dollar players. You should have saved some of that for Singletary. But he's a good player. I like him. 2 selections later, so 197 nomination, $3. Quentin Johnston. So Johnston's a first round pick, wide receiver, out of TCU. They went to the national championship game, got hosed by Georgia. But he is playing alongside the quintessential, you already have Stephon Diggs, who's the best route runner in football. But I've said for a long time it's been Keenan Allen, and Diggs is taking it from him. But he's playing beside Keenan Allen. He's playing also around Mike Williams. So I don't think he's going to get a ton of touches, even if they are pass-heavy. I think he might be a flex option if either Williams or Allen misses time, which, to be frank, they usually do. So as a rookie receiver, I don't mind it because, again, it's hard for rookie receivers to break out. It's very rare. Sometimes it happens. Justin Jefferson, Jarvis Landry, Odell Beckham Jr., Mike Evans. I mean, I gave you 4 names, but it is really rare. It's not as prevalent as rookie running backs. It usually takes a second year. But I don't mind it. Again, just like Justin took a lot of the rookie receivers. So what is it? Justin took Jonathan Mingo and Zay Flowers and Jordan Addison. So he took quite a few of the rookie receivers. And then Patrick took Jackson Smith and Jigba, who was another first-round receiver, and you took a first-round receiver here. So do I like him? Yeah, I like him. I think he's got a lot of talent. We just got to see if he's what is his role exactly. I don't know with the Chargers yet. It takes time. I would say hang on to him and wait and give him a chance to find out. So I hope you don't cut him anytime soon, even if he doesn't do anything, because you got to be patient with rookies. After that, we took at 170 $1 Darnell Mooney. Another of Brian's favorites. Interesting. He took a couple of guys that Brian really likes. I mean, he was the number 1 receiver for a time for the Bears. They're not really much of a passing offense. Now he's behind DJ Moore and Chase Claypool's the slot receiver because they traded a second-round pick for him, which was crazy. His breakout year was 2021 when he had over 1,000 yards, and he was the 23rd best fantasy receiver. I don't know if he's going to do that this year, if I'm being honest, especially with Justin Fields, who I don't believe is much of a thrower. He's just not much of a thrower. He uses his legs. So, a lot more competition. I think it'll be better than last year because he was hurt most of last year, so I'm thinking 700 yards, maybe 5 touchdowns. If he gets traded somewhere, there's something. I mean, then he could become something. I don't think it's bad for you to take him here. He's not probably going to see the end of your bench. I'd wait till the trade deadline maybe, or if I really want someone, I'd think about maybe cutting him. But I think he's useful. I think he's a startable player. So what are we going to say about Leyland's team in our first draft? Well, I didn't mention it, so I'm going to mention it now. There were less players that I mentioned because you took additional defensive players. I think another team that has additional defensive players currently is Lauren. I will tell you exactly what I told Lauren, who did not listen. Having additional defensive players on your team towards the beginning of the season is not good use of roster space. Reason being, you want to find upside, kind of like the Quentin Johnston pick. You want upside players. Also, as I mentioned in my previous video, which is about Stefan, funny enough, I won't hammer you as much since it's your first time in our league. It takes some learning, but you usually want the handcuff to your running backs, especially if you don't have a lot of running backs. You don't have a lot of running backs. You have exactly 3, and you don't have the handcuff to any of them. I think Singletary's a handcuff in and of himself. This is why I always tell people, they never listen to me when they come in the league, like invest in running back, and they don't listen to me. They're just like, oh, let me get a few receivers. Oh, I seem to have good prices on the quarterback. No, you got to get depth at running back. If you're not going to get depth, at least get the handcuffs to protect yourself. You didn't do that. So lucky for you, you kind of can slide into it. I hope, I think I mentioned this to you already, but you have Nick Bosa, who's holding out for a better contract. You got Myles Garrett, who's a good defensive pass rusher, and you got Harold Landry III. I'd cut one of them. Just straight up cut one of them. You don't need 3 defensive linemen. You're only going to start one anyway. You ought to start, you took Divine Diablo as your second linebacker. He ought to be starting in your defensive player slot over any of those 3. I'd keep one of the 3, one of Bosa, Garrett, and Landry. I'd start them at D-line. I put Diablo as the defensive player, so I'm starting 2 linebackers, so him and Bobby Wagner. And I'm at least cutting one of the other guys, and I'm picking up Chuba Hubbard is the backup in Carolina. So I'm picking him up to back up Miles Sanders. And I'm giving you all of this for free because it's your first time, you're a rookie, this is what we do. But you guys got to get depth for your running backs. I don't know what y'all doing. It's like I tell everybody and they don't listen. They never listen. It's always just like, oh, I think... No, I'm sorry. Get depth at running back. If you're not going to get the handcuffs, get depth. If you're not going to do either, then you're just susceptible to someone like me who's going to come in, just take your stuff, your running back's going to get hurt, and then you got nothing. You're dead. You're dead before your season even really got started because you can't replace them. So it's literally in American sports the position with most attrition. Half the running backs in a given season get hurt at any point in time. So it's really, really important to either get depth or get the handcuff. You can get the handcuff for one of them. You can't get the handcuff for Swift, unfortunately. I'm not even sure if I would really want him because I don't really believe in Kenneth Gainwell being that good, nor do I believe in Rashad Penny staying healthy. So I guess that I kind of get. But Sanders was genuinely good last year and healthy, but I still would want to get Chuba Hubbard because, he's sitting out there right now, and you definitely have the roster space because you don't need 3 defensive linemen. You need 1, and you can use your bench to pick up handcuffs or pick up some other form of offensive upside that you might need because we want to take upside early in the season. And we want to take upside early in the season because if someone pops, it can make our season. If we don't get upside and we just take players that have no use and we can't trade, then it doesn't help us. So, yeah, go get Chuba Hubbard. Really important. It doesn't matter which of the 3 guys you want to cut. If you ask me an opinion, I think Bosa will. The only reason he's out is because he's holding out for a new contract. I think they'll figure out a way to give him a new contract. So I think he's better than the other 2. If you really don't want to believe me, then you can carry Garrett, put Bosa on IR, move Diablo to defensive player, and then cut Harold Landry. Because Landry serves no purpose on your team. He's never going to see the field. So, and go get Chuba Hubbard. Can't stress this enough. Get your handcuffs. Get your running back depth. You don't want to believe me? Fine. But don't be surprised when things don't go your way. So, that's the way it goes. Overall, though, how are we going to grade first draft for Leyland? I like the team. I like the team. I think you did a better job. I mean, you organized it better. I'm still really, really leery of the running back depth. But you're deep at receiver. I'll give you that. You got some star power. I don't like carrying 2 quarterbacks. I don't like carrying 3 defensive linemen. It's your team. Do whatever you want. If you don't want Chuba Hubbard to back up Miles Sanders, that's fine. You're going to do what you want. But it's really advisable. And, yeah, I think I'll give you probably like a B-. I think this team is good. I mean, unlike some of the other teams who I've said, I have championship aspirations, expectations for you. I don't have that for you. Just have fun. If you make the playoffs, it's a great season for you. But either way, as long as you have fun, then it's a good season for you, honestly. I think the team's pretty good. I think you'll have a lot of fun with it, especially when you get into the nuance of it. But please, take advice. Please back up your running backs. Please get running back depth. No one ever listens. I don't know why. Lauren doesn't listen. Stefan doesn't listen. I don't. It's just like, it's like night and day. Like Patrick didn't really listen this year, but it kind of worked out because he happened to get the handcuffs. But still, Charlie never listens. Like, this isn't hard, guys. This is really, really simple, especially when you can get these dudes for free. All right, your handcuffs on free agency for free. It costs you nothing. You just got to cut somebody who's of no use to you to pick them up. Do the right thing. Do the smart thing. Come on. So, but yeah, I think the team's pretty good. I'm gonna give you a B-. I'm gonna say you're probably borderline playoff team. We'll say like 8th, 7, 8. So I like the team. You just got some stuff to figure out. I hope Goff or Garoppolo. I hope one of them's the quarterback. I don't know. I really don't. First, I don't think Garoppolo is startable. But I don't know if Goff is good enough. I mean, I know he was good last year and people talked about him, but if Sean McVay is like the epitome of a good offensive mind and he gave up on Jared Goff, and Sean McVay has forgotten more football than I will ever know in my life. Incredible coach. So, yeah, Dan Campbell's going to try and tell you Jared Goff's like a Pro Bowl caliber player who's going to lead us to a Super Bowl. Dan Campbell's wrong. So, yeah, I hope Jared Goff works out. If he doesn't, you can pick somebody up. Quarterback's pretty easy to fill. But yes, running back, real hard to fill. But otherwise, I think the team is rather good. So good job on you, Leyland. Yeah, B-, solid team, a little bit above average, playoff team. Good job.